Welcome to the fight world. There's always something going on in MMA, and we're here to bring you the latest. From Chael Sonnen on Jorge Masvidal to Joanna talking about the hardest hitters and more. Before we dive in, take a second to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the latest fight news. And with that, let's get to it. Chael Sonnen says fighters complaining about money should follow Jorge Masvidal's lead. It's safe to say that former UFC contender Chael Sonnen is a keen observer of the fight world and knows a thing or two about promoting a fight. He did it for years with his brash, aggressive talk, the funny non-sequiturs, and his complete verbal assault of his opponents. Many of his clips are still making the rounds online. He's provided a sort of blueprint for certain fighters to follow, one of which is Colby Covington. But Sonnen is applauding Jorge Masvidal for the way Gamebred is able to promote his own fights, creating a narrative, a story that fans can easily digest and care about so that when Masvidal is in and out of the octagon, all eyes are on him. Masvidal recently posted a video on his YouTube channel blasting his next opponent, Colby Covington, with clips from other fighters saying what they think about Colby. The whole thing is hilarious and pretty damning. But Sonnen uses this as an example of what fighters could do to earn more money for themselves. Sonnen says Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo, and Francis Ngannou could all learn from Masvidal, and said this in a recent video on his YouTube channel.
Well, you have three guys that are complaining they're not getting enough money, and you have one guy who's never said the word money. Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal is bringing attention to his fight successfully. Do you know what it costs to post something on Twitter? Do you know how cheap and inexpensive that is?
It's true. Masvidal has been able to utilize all of the online tools at his disposal and to use his opportunities whenever he gets in front of fans through the UFC to enrich himself and provide entertainment for the people. The tactic has proven so successful that when the UFC booked his fight against Colby for UFC 272, a 5-round non-title fight, the promotion bumped the two title fights that were originally set to take place on the card, the featherweight and bantamweight title fights. What do you think about Sonnen saying that all fighters talking about money should follow Masvidal's lead? Bam Bam accepts the Derrick Lewis fight while he was drunk. Tai Tuivasa is the master of the show, so it's no surprise that his latest fight announcement does involve a little bit of the brood stuff. The Australian is a fan favorite and is certainly racking up a good amount of wins, all in impressive fashion. He's currently in a 4-fight winning streak, all of them finishes by TKO or knockout inside of 2 rounds. He's ending these fights pretty quick, and he's slowly climbing up the UFC heavyweight rankings as he's currently number 11. He's got a massive fight coming up against Derrick Lewis, another fan favorite who's ranked number 3 in the division and is coming off a big knockout victory over Chris Daukaus this past December. The fight is perhaps Ty's biggest of his career because a win over Lewis would see him surge up the rankings even more and provide the legitimacy necessary for him to continue fighting the top contenders and possibly even for the title at some point. But when the opportunity to fight Lewis came up, Ty was drunk. He admitted as much in a recent interview with ESPN where he said this: "I was on the piss, I was blind. I didn't notice anything until the next morning that Mick Maynard messaged me and I had messaged back. He messaged, 'Are you awake?' And I was like, 'Yeah.' It was like 4:30 in the morning. And then I woke up to 20 missed calls from my manager, from my coach Sully, and shit like that, so I was like, something must have happened. And then it came up. And why not? Why wouldn't I? It's a great opportunity. Obviously, he's number 2 or number 3 or whatever he is. He's a fan favorite. I'm a fan favorite. I really respect Derrick, what he's done, and the person he is. Even drunk, Ty knows that a fight against someone like Derrick Lewis could only serve to elevate him even more. This one is set to take place on February 12th at UFC 271 in Lewis's hometown of Houston, Texas. You know the Black Beast will be motivated given the last time he fought in front of his hometown, he was summarily beat down by Cyril Gane for the interim title last August. What do you think about Bam Bam admitting he was drunk when he accepted the Derrick Lewis fight? And what's your prediction for the way this fight will play out? Joanna reveals the hardest puncher she's ever fought. With plans to finally make her way back to the octagon sometime in 2022, Joanna Jędrzejczyk is making the media rounds, slowly getting back to the training grind and making sure she's in good position to come off firing with wins. Joanna has done it all in combat sports, winning several amateur Muay Thai world medals, then Muay Thai world titles across several organizations before finally entering the world of mixed martial arts and using her stand-up to eventually grab the UFC Women's Strawweight title. She's had classic fights with some of the biggest names in women's MMA. This is why she's uniquely positioned to answer a burning question. Who is the hardest puncher she's faced? While on the Punching In podcast this week, Joanna was asked this question, and this is what the former champion had to say.
Really hard, but you know who hit the hardest? Valerie Letourneau.
Oh really?
My God. She was the hardest
Really?
puncher I have ever.
That's funny.
Skinny but tough as her.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are
So
tough.
Valerie and then Rose.
How about that? Joanna fought Valerie Letourneau at UFC 193 in November 2005, successfully defending her strawweight title, winning a unanimous decision after 5 rounds. Since then, Letourneau lost 2 straight fights in the UFC and went on to fight in Bellator, where she went 2-1, and hasn't fought since 2018. But Joanna's other answer of Rose Namajunas is not surprising at all, given that Rose is the current UFC strawweight champion and the fact that the two had a highly publicized feud. Rose beat Joanna twice in back-to-back strawweight title fights, including via TKO in the first encounter back in November 2017. Right now, Joanna is back in Florida training at America's Top Team and has just 1 fight left on her current UFC deal. She hasn't fought since she dropped a razor-thin decision to Zhang Wei Li in their epic clash in March 2020 for the strawweight belt. Joanna has stated that whenever she comes back, it would most likely be against Wei Li, given how crazy brutal their first fight was and how fans are clamoring for a rematch. What do you think about Joanna stating that Valerie Letourneau and Rose were the hardest punchers she's ever faced? Are you surprised by her answers? Let us know down in the comments. Thanks so much for joining us here today to get caught up with the latest fight news. Let us know what you think in the comments. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to stay updated on all things MMA. Thanks for watching.